We have some big news right now. Donald Trump's tariffs on China are impacting farmers the most, and many of them have buyer's remorse for even voting for Donald Trump in the first place. One of the top products that is tariffed is the U.S. soybean, and U.S. soybean exports, according to CNN, are now subject to a total tariff of 135% because of the 10% tariff imposed in March, along with the 125% tariff announced last week. If you recall, back in 2018, the winner of the first U.S.-China trade war wasn't U.S. farmers, but rather Brazil, because Brazil became the world's leading soybean exporter. And since then, exports to China have grown 280%, while U.S. exports have remained flat. Many soybean farmers in the Midwest actually voted for Donald Trump. They come from states that are red states that voted for Donald Trump consistently, both in 2016 and in 2024. And Trump had long promised exemptions or support for farmers, but they haven't received any bailouts just yet. And some are now even having buyer's remorse because their businesses are going to suffer because they can't export the number of soybeans that they were before.
Jim is a Republican who voted for Donald Trump 3 times.
How do you feel about your vote for Donald Trump now?
Well, I feel like perhaps I should have considered some other options.
Among other things, Jim imports packaging supplies for his honey, so he's paying real close attention to the tariffs Trump just put in place.
We just bought our year's supply of bottles from Taiwan and our year's supply of corks from Portugal about 3 weeks ago. So that would have been, another $5,000 or $6,000 out of my pocket.
Which is partly why he's repairing instead of replacing this 40-year-old forklift.
The cost of equipment has just gone through the roof to buy anything like that because it just would be cost prohibitive.
He's also holding off on improvements around the farm.
Well, we're not going to hire any more people, that's for sure.
It's more than just the tariffs. For the past 2 years, Jim has been selling honey to the federal government, which then provides it to schools and food banks. But after Donald Trump took office, the USDA cut those programs suddenly as part of the federal government's effort to streamline spending.
For a lot of other local farmers around here, it was a major source of reliable revenue. For me, it's going to cost me around $150,000 a year.
$150,000?
Yeah, roughly 50% of my revenue.
That's a huge hit.
That's a massive hit.
Think the toughest battles on the farm are against weather or pests. Think again. For countless American farmers, one of the biggest storms they faced wasn't from the sky, but from Washington, D.C. The Trump-era tariffs, aimed at reshaping global trade, became a devastating economic reality right here in the heartland. Listen closely. When retaliatory tariffs hit, especially from massive buyers like China, it wasn't just a news headline. It was the sound of doors slamming shut on the very markets farmers depended on for survival. Imagine watching prices for your hard-earned crops, soybeans, pork, corn collapse almost overnight. Years of building trust and trade relationships undone. This wasn't just a dip in profits. This was mounting debt pressing down. This was sleepless nights staring at balance sheets that no longer made sense. This was the gut-wrenching rise in farm bankruptcies, a clear signal of the immense pressure. While aid packages provided some temporary relief, they couldn't replace the lost markets or erase the deep uncertainty cast over farm families. The tariff conflict served as a harsh reminder for those who work the land. Decisions made in distant capitals can feel like a personal siege, turning carefully cultivated livelihoods into battlegrounds of economic policy.
Let's talk about how the same farmers who voted for Donald Trump are now getting hit hard by his own policies, especially the tariffs. It's wild how this is playing out. These farmers showed up in huge numbers to support Trump, hoping he would boost American agriculture. But now, thanks to the tariff war with China and the ripple effect created, those same farmers are losing money, losing customers, and even losing their farms. And honestly, the warning signs were always there. Hello guys, welcome to my channel. If you're coming across this channel for the first time, my name is Rosemary. Kindly consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Before we get to the video, let me play a few clips on the same and I'll be back with my commentary. All credit goes to the original creators of these videos.
Hey everyone, I have some late breaking news. China now gets all its soybeans from Brazil because of Donald Trump's tariffs. So you got to think, how much money did the United States lose over this? How much taxable income did the United States lose? So now Brazil is China's #1 importer for these soybeans. They're getting it all from Brazil. So what do you think how do you think this is hurting the American people? Because of Donald Trump's tariffs, China does not rely on the United States for this product. So basically, the farmers are losing and the workers and everyone else involved in the soybean industry, which is also people who deliver it, transport it. So it's a big chain, and they're all losing. So, Mr. Trump, I bet Brazil is absolutely thankful for what you did. I have some late breaking news. Many soybean and corn farmers in the Republican-leaning states of Iowa and Minnesota have warned the White House that the increased cost of their exports due to Trump's tariffs could drive them absolutely out of business. And folks, I am not making this up. This is absolutely big news. China hiked levies on imports of all U.S. goods, while dismissing the U.S. tariff strategy as a joke. The problem is now that Brazil and China, the delegations, will talk as Brazil emerged as the beneficiary from the existing Chinese tariffs. And this is on farm imports, which pushed Beijing to seek new agriculture suppliers. So basically, Brazil's going to pick it up a notch, and America's going to lose the American farmers.
An American farmer is reeling from the cost of Trump's new tariffs after mistakenly thinking that Canada would pay for it. He tends 1,400 cows at a dairy farm in upstate New York, and a recent order of livestock feed from Ontario cost him an extra $2,200 in tariffs, which he mistakenly thought would be covered by the Canadian mill. He's unable to find cheaper suppliers or offload the extra cost to customers, and is therefore stuck with it as a growing number of American businesses now suffer from Trump's trade war.
So let's break it down. First, we have to understand how big China used to be for the American farmers, especially soybean farmers. China was America's biggest customer for soybeans. Every year, China bought billions of dollars worth of soybeans from the US farmers. That trade relationship brought in a lot of taxable income for the US, and it helped keep farming communities alive. But when Trump slapped tariffs on Chinese goods, China responded with its own tariffs, and American soybeans were suddenly too expensive for them to buy. So what did China do? They turned to Brazil. Brazil has always been a strong competitor in the soybean market, but Trump's trade war gave them an edge. China increased its imports from Brazil by billions of dollars, cutting the US almost completely out of the picture. This means not only did American farmers lose one of their biggest customers, but the US government also lost all the tax revenues from those potential sales. That's a double loss. Meanwhile, farmers here in the US are left holding onto crops they can't sell. They planted expecting a big market, and now they are stuck. Prices dropped because of oversupply, and storage costs went up. And when you can't sell your crops or make a profit, you're not paying taxes, you're not investing in your farm, you're just trying to survive. Let's be real, farming is not easy. It's already full of risk like bad weather, pests, and unpredictable markets. But Trump's trade war added even more uncertainty. He claimed that the tariffs would force China to negotiate a better deal, but instead, China just moved on. They found new partners, and now those trade relationships are stronger than ever. What's even worse is the increased cost of exporting goods to China and other countries. Before the tariffs, shipping and selling goods to China was relatively affordable, but now, because of retaliatory tariffs and added fees, it costs a lot more. That makes US goods less competitive on the global market. So even beyond soybeans, farmers growing other crops like corn, wheat, and even dairy producers are feeling the heat. And let's talk about the long-term impact. A lot of young people in farming communities are rethinking their future. Why stick around when your livelihood depends on unpredictable trade policies? Some family farms that have been passed down for generations are being sold off because they just can't compete. And when farms shut down, it affects the whole rural economy. Local shops, equipment dealers, schools, and even hospitals. What's frustrating is that all of this could have been avoided. Trump promised to put quote-unquote America first, but these tariffs ended up putting American farmers last. He picked a fight with one of their biggest trading partners without a solid backup plan, and now the farmers are paying the prices. And yet, some of them still support him. That's the craziest part. Even after losing income, losing customers, and watching Brazil take over their markets, some farmers are still holding out, hoping that Trump will come through. Maybe they are loyal, maybe it's pride, or maybe they just don't want to admit they got played. But facts are facts. Trump's trade war is hurting them, not helping them. Meanwhile, Brazil is laughing all the way to the bank. Their soybean industry is booming, and they have even started investing in in more land and infrastructure to keep up with the demand from China. And that's not going away anytime soon. They have taken the market share that used to belong to the US and they are not giving it back. So what now? Well, unless something changes first, American farmers are going to keep losing. The tariffs are still causing issues. The trade relationship are still damaged and the global market has moved on. This world situation should be a lesson on how dangerous it is to put politics before policy. Farmers were promised prosperity and protection, but they ended up with higher costs, lower profits, and fewer customers. That's not winning, that's losing. And let's not forget, these are not just numbers on a spreadsheet. These are real people, families, communities, folks who get up before sunrise to work the land and feed their country. They deserve better than being used as pawns in a trade war. So next time someone promises to quote-unquote make America great again, maybe ask, great for who? Because it's not looking great for the American farmers right now. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.